안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 네, 죄송하지만 저도 오늘 영어로 발표하겠습니다. 역시 마음 편하네요. Okay, so I'm going to speak a little bit about what I've learned through doing adventures, and hopefully encourage some of you to take up adventuring yourselves. So I began my adventures when I was at school. I joined the school's cycle touring club, and we used to go cycling in the little roads and lanes around the school. And it was an amazing opportunity to just begin to have an adventure, you know, with a teacher who was supporting us, and to just I guess, gain some confidence and start to believe that we could set ourselves our own challenges. And through being part of this cycling club, we used to go to different parts of the UK and go cycling there during the school holidays. And on one of these trips, we saw a newspaper article about the 50th anniversary of the first ascent of Mount Everest. And we saw this, and being confident from having done lots of cycling, we thought, cool, great. You know, why don't we try and become the youngest British people to climb Mount Everest? And it was a bit of a stupid idea, but it seemed very exciting, and we thought, hey, you know, let's give it a go. And so we started by going on our first independent adventure, and what that involved was, I guess, we looked at a map and thought, where would we like to go, and what should we do? And we hadn't started climbing at that point, so we thought, oh, well, we can cycle, so we'll start on a cycling adventure. And we headed to Norway in November. And if you look at the photo, you'll see it's pretty snowy and icy, and I'm not wearing any gloves. So we didn't really prepare very well. I didn't check the weather before we went. But one of the things which this adventure taught me was that you've got to be prepared. You know, we weren't able to do the trip which we'd originally planned to do. It could have been seen as a failure. But I learned something from the trip, and I made sure that when I went on future trips, I checked the weather in advance, and I made sure I prepared the right kit. So we went back to school, and we joined the climbing club, and we started climbing in an indoor climbing gym. And then we went outdoors and learned how to rock climb outside. Then we went to the Alps, and we did our first snow and ice climbing in the Alps. And then when we were 17, in the summer holidays before our final year of school, we went on our first big mountain expedition to Pakistan. And we had been working very hard, doing part-time jobs. We working in coffee shops and on farms, and we'd managed to save up enough money to go on our first expedition. And we got to 6,000 meters on this mountain, and all of a sudden a big storm blew in, and we were stuck in our tent for 3 days. We ran out of food, and there was a high avalanche risk on the mountain, and so we had to abandon our tent for the summit and turn around and go back down. And that was a really tough moment. You know, we'd saved up all our money for this, we'd been focusing on this, and we thought, well, if we can't climb this mountain, then how will we be able to climb Everest? And it took us a while to realize that, you know, that it's not necessarily important to get to the summit. What was really important was the process, is what we learnt by trying to achieve our goal. All of the things we learnt by just taking part and giving it a go about big expeditions was actually really useful. So it wasn't a failure because we learnt from it and we were able to take those lessons forward. And so we prepared, kept preparing. We went to another mountain to climb in Nepal, and then 2 years later we found ourselves climbing Mount Everest. And we were there for 2 months in total. It's a tough environment to be in. At the summit, there's only 30% of the oxygen that there is here at sea level. So just walking is really, really hard. You take a couple of steps and you're panting as though you've just sprinted a couple of 100 meters. And so everything is a very slow process. We had to pass the body of a friend we'd made at Pace Camp who died on his summit attempt. And you know, we were very aware of the risk that was involved in climbing high mountains.